Shane, what you talking about? Willis played 174 games in the National Hockey League with the Carolina Hurricanes and Tampa Bay Lightning. I got to know him with the Prince Albert Raiders. He's an Edmonton kid. We had Willie in PA from 94 to 97. It was a very sad day. Well, 96. We moved him to Lethbridge in the winter of 1996. And I've been waiting, Willie, a very long time for this chat. I've been enjoying you on television. How you doing, Shane?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Rod.
I got a lot to unpack with you, my man. And I will say this. I got a lot of stories that I want to bring up, too. But I never thought, when you were starring in the Western League, sniping 58 times with Lethbridge, 112 points, that you would end up as a broadcaster. You know what I'm saying? Willie, how did this happen?
I completely agree with you. I think most people who knew me growing up and playing junior hockey would have said, that guy's pretty shy. I don't expect him to jump in front of a camera. And I can tell you, I didn't take the normal path to get involved in television. It was during one of the dark summer days here in Carolina when the team struggled and missed the playoffs again, when our in-house kind of video team asked me if I'd do some videos. And I was, my office kind of turned into the yes man. I don't turn anything down. So I said, what do you want me to do? They said, just some fun videos talking to fans and stuff like that. And I actually went to the North Carolina State Fair. I walked around and talked to families and kids, and I basically stuck my hand in other people's foods and ate it. And that just took off on YouTube. So they figured, hey, why not join Fox Sports ahead and jump up to the desk?
And you're doing great. And I am going to talk about the Hurricanes, who I have as my number 2 team in the NHL. But we got to tell our viewers about that time that the Prince Albert Raiders had that tour of the penitentiary. Remember that? And you guys were signing autographs. And there was a guy named T-Bird. And he said, can you sign it? Love, Shane. Do you remember that day? What do you remember about that tour?
Well, first of all, going in, obviously we have always had great billets in the Western Hockey League that take care of us. And one of our billets was a guard at the penitentiary. And, they told us these guys were our biggest fans. They listen to every game. They're dialed in. They know who you are. And so to a point, it was exciting to go in there. But also, I was extremely nervous to be, 17, 18-year-olds walking into I believe at the time, a medium security penitentiary. Also just meeting these guys, and they were all excited for us to be there. And you kind of start talking to them. And as you said, the autograph comes out and says, could you put love, Shane? And it gets even more awkward. But then they decide, they're like, hey, we got some time to kill. Do you guys want to play floor hockey? And a couple of our veteran guys are like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, hold on a second. These guys are in here for a reason. And you guys want to just take the sticks out and play some floor hockey? But I mean, they are very talented as well at this sport. But it was a few awkward minutes there, Rod, as you know, but just another way to reach out to fans in every area. As they said, hockey is for everyone. We stepped in there and played a little floor hockey and signed some autographs. And, at the end of the day, we kept it clean, if you will.
Yeah. Well, Willie, hey, why do I remember these things? I remember it very, very well. And obviously followed your career, which was great, and you settled in Carolina. So here's my point. Do you feel the Carolina Hurricanes are the number 1 team in the National Hockey League? If so, why or why not?
I do. And, your point is talking about Florida is definitely an arguable point, because they faced off just here last week, Florida getting the edge in overtime. But I really feel the Carolina Hurricanes, match up against any team in this league so very well. The depth is there. I think the difference that could have been made in that game is a guy by the name of Freddie Anderson, who's been so good for the Canes since signing here this summer. Played the night before in a back-to-back situation. They went with the young goaltender out of Chicago and Alex Lyon, who has some experience. But overall, I think Freddie would have made the difference there. And then going in, just the scoring power they have. I think any line can come over the boards for the Hurricanes and put the puck in the back of the net, 1 through 4. It doesn't matter who's coming. And then when you put star power behind it, like Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, and the talented defensive core that they have, I just feel that they're going to be a very tough out against any team in the Eastern Conference.
Well, you're around that club every day. Tell me what it was like, how they took losing to Tampa Bay in the playoffs last year, the eventual Stanley Cup champions. That's just stoking a fire that I got to think is still there halfway through this next season.
Yeah, and I go back even further, Rod. Go back to the first time when they were making the Cinderella run, if you will, taking out the Washington Capitals, then losing to the Boston Bruins in the Eastern Conference Final, being swept, then going to the bubble, and the Bruins again handing them that very tough defeat before, as you mentioned, Tampa last year. And I talked to Justin Williams, who is working alongside Don Waddell now in the management field, and I said, when you're looking to sign players this summer, as the Hurricanes went out and did, what were you looking at adding? And he said, really, you go back and look at the team that was the best, and that was the Tampa Bay Lightning. You look at the depth and kind of grittiness that they had on their third and fourth lines, but not also onto the defensive core, how physical they were against the Hurricanes. And I think this team added that physical presence they needed in a guy like Tony DeAngelo, who also has offense, Ian Cole, who has that grit and Stanley Cup background to match that against any team in the league. And I think when you can do that, you now even have more confidence. But as you mentioned, a very difficult loss and a stinging loss for this team for the third straight season. This team continues to grow in its culture and how they learn and grow. And and have seen so many championship teams. Not many teams go out in their first year and win. They have to learn how to win. And I go back to a young kid in the Edmonton Oilers days and hearing those interviews from Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and saying, we didn't know how to win. We were up against the Islanders, the Flyers, and they were beating us because we didn't understand what it took. And I think the Carolina Hurricanes now really understand what it will take to not only win in the playoffs, but to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, Tampa had to do it. They lost some tough ones, right, for a long time. So, hey, Willie, listen, we got a couple minutes left. I just want to talk about the junior days because our viewers love it so much. Yeah. And we do air all across Canada, but particularly strong in Western Canada. The Raiders were supposed to have a reunion 2 years ago, but COVID screwed that up, and they haven't been able to schedule it since. Had you planned on going back for that?
I had not. I think timing-wise, it didn't work out in the schedule here with work and things like that. Obviously, I'd love to get back home. PA, obviously a very special place in my heart, a place where I started my junior career. So many great memories, as you mentioned, one going to visit the guys in the penitentiary, but playing along so many great guys there, a few guys that made it onto the National Hockey League. But I think, something we learned this past week in that tragedy in Connecticut is that how close the hockey family is and how much you miss the guys you played with, no matter what they went on to do, whether it be in business or in hockey, and your teammates for life. And if there's anyone that made a call or you saw something about a teammate, every guy would be there. And I know each and every one of us, schedule permitting, if and when it does come up again, Rod, that, we hit the golf course back there in PA where I almost, my one and only ever real close to getting a hole in one was in Prince Albert on a par 3 at that beautiful course there. But I'd love to go back and see some of the boys and obviously, do what we always did was stir up a little magic in beautiful Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
The gateway to the north. Well, listen, you're doing color in Carolina. Nighty's doing color in Vegas. I got to say, I trained you both so well. Willie, thanks for the time, my man. Let's do it again soon.
Thanks, Roddy. Obviously, we learned from the best watching your great calls over the years, and we appreciate the time. And hey, as you mentioned, I'd love to see Carolina, Florida, Eastern Conference Final. It would be a heated battle.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah. All right, Willie. Thanks, man. Stay safe.
Thanks,
Shane
buddy.
Willis, Carolina Hurricanes television analyst and NHL and WHL alum. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.